Welcome to Faith That Works, exploring the changed lives of those living by faith. Your host, Bob McHouston, will spotlight ordinary people who have discovered for themselves a faith that works.
Thank you for joining us for the program Faith That Works. My name is Ann Reed, and we are so happy that you are with us this evening. We have two wonderful guests with us this evening that have are a part of just a very unique ministry, and so we're going to let them share a little bit about that. Julie West is, what would you call yourself? You are the founder of the ministry. Co-founder. So we'll just start with you, Julie, a little bit. If you would just kind of tell us what that ministry is and kind of the process that led you up to start the ministry.
Okay. It is called Redesigns, and my daughter and I are the co-founders, and it's a family-based business. That's how it started out, and really it is a business, but it's a mission-minded business, and so what that means is everything that we do or are involved in and the way we process the whole situation has mission in mind, whether that's for a particular person or a feeding into other ministries in the community and around us. So let's see how we got started. I had sewn for the public for about 10 years, and that went well. I also have an education background, so I taught preschool and public school.
When you say sew, do you mean like alterations?
Like
or?
Draperies.
Oh, okay.
Like full, decorating, that type thing.
Okay, I see.
And that's something I was able to do, home-based business for all those years when I had little bitty ones. And so that worked, and then I went back into teaching at some point, so I had an education background. And a mom. So I have 4 kids, and one's Mary Hollis, she's 20, and then I have Haley, who's 18, almost 19. Maddie, who's 15, and then little Will is 7. And so I guess at the point of, the Lord brings us on many seasons of life. And so we've owned a business prior. My husband's had good employment. We've had this and that through life seasons brought us. But the one thing that I looked at as a mother, that all of my children were very different. So we, in raising them, some things were easier than others. My second child had a little bit more difficulty than first child, just academically, and so she went through special education, and we worked through that. And as we were getting to a point of adulthood, we saw a new phase in our life that was unfamiliar, and I think it brought me to a place, probably, teenage years and on, looking at that and saying, what does that look like for an adult child that might be living with you, forever, really, but yet so high functioning that we just were seeking, and I think that when I looked back at some of the experiences and the background that I had, at some point, I kind of was just asking, Lord, what does this all have to do with each other? And I literally did what their friend from Birmingham, Anna Nash, she has a thing called Beacon People, and I did just a tool she gave, Pathfinder. And so I literally marked out a map in my life of all the things the Lord had done or involved me in, whether that was hard places, people that He had surrounded me with, experiences, what I was good at, what I struggled with, a lot of weaknesses. And He brought me to a place of what was the purpose that what did I have to offer?
And what were you doing at that time? Is that when you were sewing? Or were you still teaching at that time?
I taught for a few years, then I went home, and then I had little Will. And so that could have put a little bit of a halt in my plan, But he was such a blessing, because I'll tell you this, Haley said, at some point. I really didn't know for sure if she would ever come to a place that would say intentionally, I asked the Lord into my heart. You know, I just always knew He would. She had such a sweet spirit, but he was a catalyst for saying, I need Jesus in my life so I can teach him about it, about him. And so sweet. That's sweet, that's special. But so I was just home at that time.
Okay.
And so I was going back, had made some unique custom pillows and things like that, and kind of dabbled with just business as business. But it was just kind of missing something. So on back to doing the life map, just kind of saying, Lord, what does all this have to do? What's a product that I could sell that would be the thing that I want to do, like starting a business. And we kind of, my husband and I talked about it a lot. And when it all came down to it, it really wasn't about a product. It was about the process, because I went back to, we had been to Africa because my oldest daughter could not do anything conventionally. She wanted to graduate early. She wanted to go to this orphanage in Africa with these people and spend 3 months, and Dad's like, come on, you know. So as you would have it, we went over too. And I had been making things out of scraps and just for years. I always just like to repurpose. We had done 4-H, and the girls had always been involved in that, and they would have this show, and this all comes together, you know, to make a point. They had used scraps, and they would make art projects, and then they would get a blue ribbon for it. And I observed that though they were all at different levels, when they received that blue ribbon, or they, you know, got an accolade for making that art project, it made particularly Haley just gleam. You know, just it made her so happy. And so, you know, check that off. And then we had made these rugs, hand braided rugs. And so we go over to Africa, and they are making this same kind of thing.
And where did you get the idea in the first place?
I have no idea.
Wow.
I mean, like, at that point, I can honestly say, now I've seen plenty on Etsy and those things, but the Lord, I can't really explain, truly would sometimes just give me an idea. And it would be that, and then years before I had done a t-shirt quilt. Well, I had not seen any t-shirt quilts, and I didn't think anybody wanted a t-shirt quilt, and I just kind of put it on our shelf, and we had one for 20 years, whatever.
Explain to us what a t-shirt quilt is.
A t-shirt quilt is so you have a stack of t-shirts from high school. That means that you were on the t-ball team, you know, at 6, and then you went to Calvary Preschool, and then you went to Pierce Street Elementary, you know, so you have all these t-shirts that, you know, you spend $1 million on to every activity you've ever had. And then, you know, a senior in high school, or we started out with when they turned 13, that we had from baby all the way to 13 of all the things they were involved in, and that was their representative of their life. And that's kind of how that got started. I made one for my husband and I first, from our college years, and, you know, combined it, and then I made, you know, one for each of my children at 13. And so that was kind of over in the background.
So this was just a hobby?
This was just a hobby.
Was it something you were purposely involving Haley in, or
not at this point? This was when I had little kids. I mean, literally, I did that years and years and years ago. And so, but that was there, but I didn't really think that had anything to do with anything. The rug, however, I would have loved to start making these rugs and it be high-end and really glamorous and all this kind of thing, you know, and I sold some, but the purpose that after going over to Africa, they were the women in the slums, they were taking those women, teaching them a skill, and making these beautiful things. And so we go in this place, and I'm just like, I had this same thing over here, but this is happening and working over here because it's a third world country, there's low overhead and all this type of thing. There is no way to pay someone to train them and make this functionally work in America. You know what I mean? So it really didn't, the way the whole, I just couldn't business-wise think through that. And I really wasn't there when we were over at LeMaru, but when I came back, a lot of things that I was experiencing, I just kind of was checking off my list and brought back. So years forward, doing the life map, we have the t-shirt quilt, we have this, we have just the fact that the Lord would just bring these things to my mind, and how does it all connect?
I was just getting ready to ask you, were you beginning at that time to see that God was putting all these pieces together? Or?
I did. I really thought I was going to Africa just because my daughter was over there, and I was able to go paint and do some devotion with her. Well, one of the things that we did when we were there was she had to lead at 17, well, just turned 18, lead the group of people that were serving in a devotion. And so right when we get there, it was talking about, the topic was the body of Christ, how everyone has a different part or different service, and they're all equal.
Right.
And so now that was a thing that was going on in my head, you know. And when I went there, I observed the joy that those women, particularly serving those children day in, day out, and it was labor, and it was hard, and there was not a lot. I mean, they were just there to serve, and I loved the beauty of that.
Yeah.
So, so did I connect all of that? No. Coming back, I think when it all came together, did the life map connected, and just, I think the Lord finally just said, Haley does have special needs, and she will need a creative solution. There are other people that will need that too. And so that's where I went back to people and places that I was reminded of, one of them being regional rehab. We spent lots of time there, and I contacted Kay Matthews and I said, I want to throw something at you. I got a thing going on in my head, and I'm not sure. So I threw it out. What do you think about, I just feel like I'm supposed to be starting something to teach people a skill and or give them a creative solution for not just job placement, but just to make them part of something that they could be proud of, that we're not patronizing, but that is very fulfilling. You know, and whether, and I said I want to include from special needs to all walks of life, whether that is just a little caveat in life where they just need to, I mean, I didn't really peg it. It was just open-ended.
So you contacted this lady at Regional Rehab because
we had services there for years, and Kay just, I don't know. I think the Lord just said, call Kay. I mean, I called also, Linda Holden from Global Connections, where we had been to Africa, and showed her, one of the products, a baby blanket, and and she led me to say, I think people in America will need this, and so it was. I think I revisited to just connect some dots and go, hey, what do you think? Am I crazy? So, as we have it, Kay connected us with a few families, and so we met one night. And I literally was like, hey, I got this stuff. I don't have a building, don't really know what I'm doing. But I know I'm supposed to be doing this, and somebody in here is going to be part of this, literally. And we left the meeting, and I did. I said, somebody in that room is going to be part of this.
And what was this at the time in your mind?
I don't even know.
She didn't know.
I really didn't. I knew it wasn't about a product, and I knew it was about a process, and I knew that it was going to happen, and that was about it. And my husband was so sweet, and he was so supportive. I don't even understand it, honestly. And so, as it would have it, it wasn't very long after that, we went to Special Olympics swim team, and Missy and Madison were there.
Yeah.
And
we had been at the meeting. We had been
there. We were, and I knew.
And she was the one.
And she was the one. Well, Madison
was the one.
Madison was the one. Yeah. Missy and Bob too. I mean, their whole family. But anyway.
So tell me about Madison, Missy.
Madison is one of my babies. I have 4 children. I have Blake, who's 32, and I have Mallory, who's 26, and then I have twins who are almost 20. They'll be 20 this year. And Madison is one of the twins. I have Madison and Morgan. And Madison is special needs. She has been in special ed most of her life in school. She is very high functioning. She has great social skills, and she just, the connection with Julie and I think, or when she and I first met, was that I had been praying for God to show me something that Madison could do, some kind of purpose that she could have.
How old was she at this time?
When we first met, what, a year and a half ago? So 16, 17. But when you have a special needs child, you're always kind of trying to think about their future.
Right.
And so, anyway, when we met, like I said, I had been praying for that, and there was just this kind of light bulb that went off when Julie mentioned taking the scraps and turning them into something beautiful, and everything having a purpose, and every person having a purpose. And so anyway, after we met, she and I didn't get back in contact with her, and then, like she said, we ran into each other at Special Olympics, and we just kind of talked from there. And Madison, one day a week, it was this past summer. Yeah, she started, I would take her to Julie's, and it started with a t-shirt quilt. That was Madison's first skill that Julie taught her, and she actually made her own t-shirt quilt.
Oh, wow.
And so that was her, and when she was able to see that and show that to people and say, I made this. I did this. It gave her such joy, and it made her have just made her feel so good about herself that she was able to do that. And that's what this is about. Like Julie said, it's not about the product, it's about the process and the people that make the product.
Yeah.
And it's just their self-worth, and it's just how good it makes them feel about what they're doing.
Do you see an analogy?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like, even farther than that, it's like it became such a thing where we moved to a different, like, it's on our property, but we have a freestanding garage, and the garage door comes up. And I mean, I would say to one of the ladies that worked, said, wonder what's going to happen today, because someone would come in, and it would always be part of the process. I mean, it would be somebody, I can't really explain that, but people would start dropping things off at my house, and
like scraps and
things.
things?
Oh yeah,
okay.
like bags and bags of scraps. And so my question at the beginning of how can you do this in America because of the overhead, because this rug might have, if it had, you know, a linen or a silk, and it was so many dollars a yard, and then it took 6 yards of this and 6 yards. I mean, like,
It looks like you have like upholstery fabric.
oh, you have everything in there.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is that rug would be so expensive if you
Yeah.
have to go buy the fabrics.
Uh-huh.
So the creative solution for the product is the fact that there are industries that have bought into understanding that it is a process, and it is an analogy. And this, when it's gifted, it's a picture story of how the Lord uses the people who give, the people who purchase, the people who make, and and we have it on a card. That it is all about the process, and it's to remind us that He uses the body of Christ.
Amen.
So I mean, like, even I get pretty excited about it. So when we make a T-shirt quilt, and so you have the leftover batting inside. So what are we going to do with the batting? And then one of the industries gives us like all these samples. And so my job is to figure out, we've got this, this, and this, and then this person's good at this person, and so we're going to do it not system and put it all together, and then we just make an oven mitt.
Wow.
You know, and so that was the leftover from the leftover, and then the leftover from that makes this, and then we then have this circular design, which reminds us of the process. So it is just cool. We think it is.
We do.
We do think it is.
So at the end of the summer, when Haley had made this, I mean, did you kind of know at that point, or even before she finished her project, did you know, oh, like all of a sudden it came to the light, oh, okay, Lord, I see what you want me to do here?
Well, I formed like an LLC like in the January of 2016, and I was pretty much kind of just working by myself with Haley, just kind of trying to see where it was going. And I would say, how am I going to get it out there? And it would be things like, how am I going to get business? You know, and I don't have any money, and I've just got to walk out in faith. And my husband one day just said, I'm going to buy you that machine you need to make that rug instead of you hand sewing it. And he would just support, you know, and so we would take a step of faith like that. But when did I know? I think I'm reminded, we had a friend from Jackson who I had made a t-shirt quilt from, and she just puts a Facebook post online, and I mean 200 comments later and 13 quilts later, that's how this is going to work.
Wow.
It's just going to be the body of Christ.
So how many do you actually have working for you now doing this?
So presently, well, it's kind of hard. I have a person that does like 2 hours a week doing this. So that comes through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 people that kind of have rotated in and out. But I mean, mainly, I have one girl that comes about 6 to 8 hours a week, and then Madison and Haley work one hour a week right now because they go to school full time.
Oh, okay.
So during the summer, you know, that will be
Change, yeah.
everybody has, that's enough for them right now.
Right.
You know, and so today, what did we do? They stacked all the things that go inside. They cut the filler. They painted some blocks, and we had a full hour.
Yep.
So, and they have to have a Diet Coke after that. But I mean, from the beginning of the summer that we started, when it was like, what do I do? What do I do? And now it's like, okay, I need y'all to do this, and they are.
So do you actually sell the product?
Oh yeah.
I know it's not about the product, but do you actually
No,
sell
but
the product?
it is. I mean, it's like this. The more people that buy a product, the more we can make, and the more people that
You
can
can
come
employ.
through. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. It is literally a process, but you know, we do support, specifically support Parkgate Pregnancy Clinic, you know, so we're able to do that. I mean, it just affords money.
Yeah.
You know, we support the ministry, the jail ministry. Kelly Williams is very well connected, and I feel like that there are lots of things that we do not even know yet what the Lord's going to be able to do. I feel like that there are people, as we connect with people, they're going to know someone that might have a good fit that can come through. It might be an older lady, a younger lady, that just needs, I don't know, some of the other ladies beside that are just needed a job, needed a little part-time job, needed to learn a skill, maybe didn't have a vocation, that have come through. We just spend a lot of time on life, you know.
So if someone is watching and maybe, you know, they're thinking this would be a good opportunity for their child, or if somebody's watching this and they think this might be a good opportunity for me, how does that work? How does the employment work? It is actual paid employment, is that correct?
Oh yes. So I pay people to train them. I mean, you know, and so they get their check, and you know, so it's just a normal job situation. And I think sometimes, well, this is no different than anybody does, and it isn't, except for the whole reason is to have the business so we can have people come in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How would you just call me and I guess pray about it. I mean,
Yeah.
usually what has happened when it's been time for somebody to be added or exit or whatever, it just organically happens, and I just know that's the right fit. So we're about to go into summer. We've been doing a lot of we've done a couple of women's events, and then we're going to be at LSU in Birmingham. That's a trade show, but it directly funds an adult special needs program that they have in there. So we try to go to shows that have a real good, solid mission funding.
It sounds like you're kind of a conduit, that you're always giving back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Trying to. I mean,
Right.
we're trying to figure it all out, but really
Yeah.
that's the main point.
Right.
As it comes in, so everybody that's involved and everything that's involved is bringing in and going out, bringing in and going
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And so again, whatever that means for that person, whether they're part of the buying or the making or whatever, it's just everybody has a part.
Speaking of buying, if someone was interested in buying some of your products, how would they go about doing that?
I do have a website, and it's shopredesigns.com, but because we have one-of-a-kind products, it's hard to keep them. I haven't mastered that yet. Maybe that's the person who's supposed to come. I need to fill that position.
You need a webmaster?
Yes, I need a webmaster. But they can call or go really Facebook and Instagram. It's Redesigns LLC, and so and it's a circular design, so you would recognize the logo.
Okay.
But anyway, that's really, you can message me, and we do tons of T-shirt quilts. That's kind of like the bread and butter and how you learn the skills. And then we have a little showroom in the area, and we could do home shows. We're so flexible. I mean, our hands are out like this, and we're just learning.
Yeah.
So making products, and my other daughters are involved as well. It's not just about Haley. My 15-year-old can make one of these bowls like nobody's business. I mean, so the thing that's really cool, it's been special for my family because it can encompass whatever you're good at, and then teach you something else.
Well, what would you say to someone who maybe is at a place, like we've only got like a minute left or a little less, but to someone who kind of feels like God's putting something on their heart, but they're just not sure, like what would you say to that person to encourage them? If it seems like they just don't know what to do, or if it seems like it's too big for them?
To trust and step out in faith. Because, I will say this, wait, don't make something happen, and just rely on the Lord to connect the dots, because that's the cool thing about this whole thing. He put everything together. I could never have orchestrated any of this myself.
Amen. Well, I so appreciate y'all being here and just sharing your amazing story. And I know in your humility, you know that it's what God has done. So we just thank Him and thank you for being here to tell His story.
Help support Faith Ministries by getting your car washed. Bob's Mobile Car Wash will come to you. All proceeds help the ministry to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Call us today